Man, I tell you, it's Tuesday. I had this great thing planned, but still, let's have a whole bunch of stuff go wrong right before I go live, right? Okay, so we have a guest scheduled for tonight. Now, if you remember the last time we had this guy here, he was just a little late. So we're going to be patient. We're going to see if he pops up, shows up, which I hope he does because we have a great conversation planned for him. And I love how moments before I'm supposed to go live, if you guys know this time of year and packages being delivered, one shows up moments before I'm supposed to go live. So yeah, fighting with my kids on that. But still, it's Tuesday. I know that there's another channel out there having a goodbye to a men's grooming company. So for anyone joining us tonight, I just want to say thank you. Like I said, we're just gonna kind of play it by ear and see if he pops up late, kind of like he did last time. Hey, sober chef, how are you, my brother? If you remember last time, he showed up late. I know I talked to him earlier today. Oh, good God. Excuse me a second. Anywho, Caleb, my brother, how are you? I, if I can hit the right button, I knew what you meant, bro. I knew what you meant. I got you. But anywho, guys, how is your day going? Let's just kind of keep this thing going, see if we get a guest pop up and have that fun. Night Med's kicking in early. That's good. So, Bill Rivers, I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here, Bill. I'm renaming stuff in knife review videos. You're going to see shortly. I've filmed a couple of them last couple days, and yeah, I've renamed something in your honor, bro. What's up, Jason Roberts? God bless it. Reverend Raven, I think that was his name. How you doing tonight, good sir? Don't you have a house to go scare? But still, 23,000, dude. I don't know if I do that much in a week, but still. Caleb, that's cool, man. We got to set up a time to get you back on the show, bro. But yeah, no, I had one of those, fun kind of days. But yeah, when you go out looking for nacho cheese to dip your pretzels in, and yeah, I'm that old school kind of guy, but still, I do like that, that used to go to hockey rink, have that kind of stuff. Yeah. And you go into a gas station and they're like, "Ooh, mask." I'm like, "Oh, I'm fully vaccinated. I am medically exempt." And they roll your eyes at you. That was a fun time today. Just a lot of fun. And dude, Daniel, I have to give you credit. That picture with Moses today, bro, that about killed me. I was laughing my butt off. I'm like, well played, dude. Well played. Well played. And right, Caleb? Seriously. I just wow. For a cleaver, are we talking like pocket or are we talking like fixed blade? Let me know. Yeah, but still, Eric, 32,000. Come on, bro. That's a lot, man. Seriously. That's an awful lot. Oh man. So you guys excited for Black Friday? You guys going out and doing stuff? Because unfortunately this year it looks like I get to grocery shop on Black Friday. So yay. Caleb, right off the top of my head. Oh my god, there's one or two by Gerber. I'll send you a DM, bro. They just updated one that's a pocket cleaver to D2 steel. It's a great one. Check my reviews under the affordable everyday carry. There's at least 6 of them in there that are pockets and pretty good pricing. Not going to break your bank and it's going to hold up for you. But when I get off this live, I will I'll message you, bro. Oh, well, okay. Well, you got to walk around and do a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, I can kind of see that. So like I said, anybody excited for Black Friday? Anybody getting any cool stuff in? Trying to hide presents from your kids, trying not to strangle your kids as they're home for the week, for Thanksgiving and all that fun stuff. Any big plans going on? I get to ship my family out and yeah, have a little bit of peace for a while. E-Rock, my brother. So seeing how E-Rock popped in here, he reminded me of something. Oh, well, look at that. Super Dick Steve. Nice. So, okay, guys, our guest is here. We're going to roll the fun. Now, before I bring him in, I got to do this. I planned on doing this in the beginning, but still, we're going to get this done. Steve, I see you down there. Hang tight, bro. So, let's start this shit off right with that whole ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. The No Lag Zone is proud to bring to you Super Dick Steve. Here he is in all his glory. How you doing tonight, Chef? Can't hear you. No, no sound. Eric, I'll
How
bet,
about
bro. I heard something.
what just happened? Horrible at this. How about now?
Kind of hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? No?
You're really faint.
Hold on, I got this. I'm gonna make this happen.
It's okay. We're used to it on this channel. There's always something technical that happens. Always. Dig in. Do it. Eric, that's a great day to get it, bro. Don't worry, guys. We'll get there. We'll get there. Aaron Rodgers, how you doing, brother? Yankees still fucking suck, but still.
Can you hear me now?
You're faint, bro.
Nope.
You're really, really
Still.
faint. Right, Bill? I mean, seriously, right? Never done a no bake one. I've only done a couple. I make a killer one with Bailey's Irish cream, but still. You think you're wicked smart there, huh, Aaron? Alrighty, guys. Well, while he's working on that, like I said, because E-Rock popped in, I'm going to touch on it real briefly. I've been accused recently of censoring my own YouTube channel. And yeah, that's kind of funny to me. If you guys know me, you know I have a problem with this right here. It hardly ever shuts off. I've been seeing a lot of comments rolling in, especially in light of the verdict out of Kenosha. Yeah, especially on Black Rifle videos. Still can't hear you, bro. If you have to back out, try coming back in, or maybe reboot whatever you're on. And Aaron, yes, that is really, really weird to watch. Chesapeake closing its doors. Seriously, it's really, really weird. But yeah, so that's why I released that video about I'm not censoring my own channel. I'm seeing lots of stuff roll in. When I go to reply to it, it's gone. Now, some of it I'm able to grab, like the emails, like I shared on my Instagram account about my fan club. They're really dedicated and they really hate Black Rifle Coffee. But still, I just I had to giggle with that censoring my own channel. Some of the words they're using, YouTube grabs it for me. And trust me, guys, slight little technical difficulties if you're joining us late or if you're watching us later on. Yeah. And hey, Sober Chef said it. Please do that. It's only going to help the channel. It's going to get this insanity out there to other people. And that is usually a pretty good thing at times, you know, especially when we have different guests, we have different things going on. And like I said, we will get this worked out. But still, if any of you saw that video, what'd you think of it? Was I able to control my rant pretty good? Was I able to control my anger pretty well? Because that was a one take and move on with that video. I'd like to know what you thought if you saw it. Sadly, it's one of my most popular videos recently. But still, he'll be back. He'll be back. If not, I'm going to mercilessly make fun of him, but still. Oh, man. And yeah, Aaron, I made the joke with Gary that he had to let Cruz rename that scent profile because Cruz can't even say it. So I thought that was absolutely hilarious. So he had to let him rename it into something he could actually pronounce. Ripkin, how you doing, bro? My guest is here. We're having some slight technical difficulties. He should be rejoining us very, very soon. Let's see if he's got it now.
Does it work now?
Oh, you sound better now. You sound a lot better.
Can y'all actually hear me now?
I can. If you guys in the chat, can you hear him? Hit a thumbs up or something, please.
Mr. Becker.
All righty, Chef. So tonight, I want to give you credit for coming back in, the no lag zone. Last time you were here, you pissed off people in multiple time zones, multiple continents, multiple alliances with our country, and set the everyday carry world
Awesome.
on fire.
Awesome. Yeah.
And recently, I've been seeing some things like the channel First We Feast and their Hot Ones episodes. Have you seen that yet?
I have not seen those.
They bring celebrities on and they get progressively hotter wings. I mean, we're talking.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I know of the channel. Yeah, I know of it. Yeah, I know of it. Yeah.
okay, so I saw oh dear God, I can't even remember his freaking Alton Brown and Gordon Ramsay. I saw their episodes, and some of the stuff they were talking about, I went, I know the perfect guy to bring on the channel so we can talk about this stuff. Because they said something you had made mention of on the very last time. But we're going to get to that in a moment. Now, everyone knows you as SuperSteelSteve, which is why I had you up there, Chef. And God, I hope I'm saying this right. Callari?
Yeah. That's yep. Callari.
Okay, at least I didn't butcher your last name. Trust me, I have a big German last name.
Most
So
people do. Yeah. Most people slaughter it. All good.
So let's talk about your other profession. But still, I need you to introduce yourself to everyone, kind of like you did last time, that little elevator thing, and then we're going to get to the fun.
Yeah, if you don't know who I am, ask one of your friends because they probably hate me. I was on YouTube for a while. Moved myself. I was under SuperSteelSteve. My name's Steve, last name Callari, hence my tag on Instagram is Chef Callari. The YouTube thing is a channel where I do a bunch of knife skill testing. But before that, I was just your everyday run of the mill, ass kicking, real deal working chef.
Really? Now he's paused. This is great.
That's that. So I'm pissing people off for a long time.
Yeah, there's one of your fan club, I guess, right here.
Did I lose you? Can't hear me.
No, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Did I lose you? No. Did I lose you?
Hey, Ellie.
I'm so bad at this. What did I do?
It's all good, bro. I can hear you. We're moving forward. Now, when you can, yeah, I can hear you. When you were on last time, you made mention you became a chef for sex. Basically, you were like, there's the hot chicks, easy work. I'm going to go do this. Somehow, there's a lot more to that from what I've seen by people and whatnot. So I know it just wasn't, let me pick up a knife, let me get a stick of butter, and let's start producing things. How long?
Hold on, repeat that again. It cut out for me real quick.
Okay. I know the last time you were on, you had made mention that you became a chef because hot chicks.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly why. Yep. Hot chicks.
But I mean, I know there was a lot more to becoming, getting that title because I doubt, like I said, pay no attention to the angry white
Oh
woman in the back.
I don't trust kids. That's why I wanted to teach you.
Yeah, like seconds before I went live, thanks, but still. I mean,
I don't trust our kids.
I don't either. Can we sell them now? But still. Yeah, that's right. I always tell my kids, you're safe in my house till I can't claim you on my taxes. Then you're gone.
Then it's a wrap. Then it's a wrap.
Pretty
Look
much.
over your shoulder after that.
Don't go to sleep that night because the next morning you're going to wake up in the front yard with all your shit,
On your mattress floating down the river.
Pretty much. But getting back to that other point before I get accused of child abusing again, I've actually had someone file a complaint with Child Protective Services because of my YouTube channel.
Wow. Wow.
Seriously.
The interesting world we live in now.
Right? But I know you don't obtain the title of chef right away.
No. Yeah.
How hard did you have to work to get that title?
So, okay, yeah. So I mean, I got into cooking, just like I said, I was young. And I happened to walk in the kitchen and got a job shucking oysters, and I saw something that like I said, doing a bunch of drugs and banging hot waitresses. So I was like, that's my ticket right there. But before I became an executive chef, it was like 11 years almost. It took me. So cooking, I was probably cooking for 11 years. So yeah, I mean, that's what got me into it. But then obviously, as time goes on, I cooked for like 6 years, just as like from my early, teens into my 20s as just a job. You know what I mean? I was just working in different restaurants, and it was just a job, doing my thing. And then it was actually, I landed myself in jail. And I was in jail. I was in jail, and of the 6 months I spent in jail, I spent 3 of them in a row in solitary confinement.
Okay, bro.
For fighting and
somewhere
whatnot. So
somewhere out there, there's
I was 20. I think I was 20. Huh?
Somewhere out there, there's an old Irishman going, I knew it! I knew it!
Froze on me. I didn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Actually, this thing just trash.
Are you on Wi-Fi in your house, or are you plugged right in? Are you on Wi-Fi, bro, or are you plugged in? Okay, can you hear me?
Hold on.
The big reason why I'm laughing is anybody who's known my channel for a while, you know that this used to be the lag zone. He'll be back. And Iron Wings, dude, yeah, I hear that there's a lot of stuff, people being unsubscribed. I don't know why. One day, seriously, I lost 22 subscribers, and the next day I got them all back. So it was like everybody just went, okay, here we go. But yeah, so bear with me, guys. Tonight is a night of technical difficulties, but we will get through this. I have been looking forward to this for a while. But yeah, so Bill Rivers, if you're still out there, like I said, new knife reviews, you're going to hear something brand new for the paracord test. It is no longer the struggle test, bro. It's renamed in your honor. So, as we wait for Steve, how's everybody's day? Oh, it's just beautiful. I wait forever to get him on, and we have so many technical difficulties. It's great. Guys, I promise it's usually not like this. It's really not. You can check previous streams. Whew. And you, Iron Wings, we got to get you on soon. Come on. Get up there. Dude, nice. Nice. Oh, this is fun. Now, am I having a problem with my... I just had a problem with my internet. So let's see what happens here. Hold on, guys. It just dumped me. So hang on. I'm probably going to black out for a moment. Okay, I'm back. Cool. Sorry, it switched me to a bad internet connection in my house. So, oh yeah, Tim, I'm gonna wait. I got him on. I had a great conversation with him last time. I've been looking forward to this one. Dagan, you have fun on that trip. That first Thursday's creeping up, so I hope you got your one chip, bro, because you're joining us for that. Joe supposedly is ordering his tarantula very, very soon, and he should have it in his hands for that Thursday. Just remember, YouTube hates guns and anything firearms, so if it doesn't, well, you're not even at that monetized point. But if it doesn't get a lot of play, just remember that. But keep making videos, bro. Seriously. Keep making them. You've got a passion for some stuff. Keep moving forward. That's all I can say. The first Thursday in December, because that's when the Jersey Jerk Off, or excuse me, Jersey Joe has his day off, and that's the best day he can do it. Because he really doesn't want to have to try to live stream from his current job eating weird stuff while he's dealing with customers. And I completely understand that, you know? I completely get it. Don't worry. He'll be back. Maybe he's rebooting his router. I don't know. But still. For those of you with beards, what do you have in beard tonight? I'm actually trying out 607 for the first time ever. I'm trying their Game of Thrones series. And yeah, I started with the Dire Wolf. Really interesting scent profile, to be honest with you. Really, really interesting. Wasn't what I would have expected for House Stark, but okay. I will give Bill credit. He's putting himself out there and doing something different. Third most for hey, dude, sweet. It's a possibility, Dagan. I mean, like the last time I had him on, he was outside, I believe. So I don't know if he's got storms in the area because he's out of Florida. And tonight, like he's in his house. So I don't know. There could be something. Let's see.
Tell me this is working.
Oh, dude, you sound so much better.
Fuck
Wow.
it. If I switch the computer. Okay, here we go. Steve's back.
All right, let's hit that little reset button. You were talking about being in prison and being in solitary, and I went, somewhere across the pond, there's an Irish dude going, I knew it. I knew he was going to be in jail. I knew it.
Yeah, this fucking light. There we go. Yeah. So that's what ended up happening. So I ended up landing myself in jail. Like I said, I spent a little over 3 months in solitary confinement. And then one day I had the realization as I'm doing push-ups on the floor, I was like, well, I'm in jail. I was like,
right.
I was like, I guess this is what the bottom feels like. This is as far down as I can go. So I was like, well, I probably, when I get out of here, got to figure out a way to do something with my life. And then shortly thereafter, I was actually it was my brother's fiance's house, and we were grilling. He was like, "Oh, Steve will grill. He's a great cook." And then he was like, "Hey, why don't you go to like chef school? You're good at that. You've been doing that." So then I decided, okay, well, that's what I should do. And then I tried to get into culinary school, and it was way too expensive for me. So then I figured I was just gonna have to do it just the old school way. So I just started hammering away at it. I had this image in my head when I was younger that the only way to become a chef was to go to culinary school and then to graduate, and that's how you would you become a chef. But I was actually glad that I did, and I ended up signing up for an apprenticeship program at a local community college, actually where I got my high school diploma from. Because I dropped out of high school, so I was on the 8-year plan. So I ended up going to that's where I got my diploma from, and I was thumbing through it was like a culinary program they had there for adults, and one of the guidance counselors who knew me from when I was there in high school when I was there, finishing that up, because I had just finished it up just after I got out of jail. I had another 6 months of house arrest. So I decided to finish my high school diploma. So that's where I was. And I was just thumbing through that. And she was like, hey, why don't you come check this out? And there were a bunch of kids with chainsaws carving ice. And I was like, yeah, chainsaws. It looks awesome. She's like, you start on Monday. And I was like, what? So that's how I got into that. The whole, it was like an on the job, an OJT kind of thing. It was as long as you had a job in the field and you were working at least 40 hours a week and you got your chef to sign off on it, all you had to pay for was the book. So it went over like, I got my first serve safe like that, and, equipment operations, nutrition, all that kind of stuff. So it was like 6 certifications or something like that. And I went through that. And then that's when I started, like taking it seriously as like a career. And yeah, I'm a very 0 or 100 kind of guy. I got 2 gears now and never. Yeah. So I just buried myself in cooking. Like, I mean, I still have like Tupperware cases, like just full of books, just full of any magazine I could get, any book I could get, anything. I would just read and then work on techniques. Anytime I got a shot in the kitchen and the chef would let me do something, I'd usually fuck something up really bad, but I would try to do something and then fuck it up really bad again and then try to get, and I was then I realized that the only way I was going to get better, it wasn't from readings. I had to go find really good chefs to work under. It's like anything. Like if you want to be a good electrician, you got to go find a really badass electrician to go learn from. So that's where that started. And I just started going from, I was like, I'm from Florida. So I was like, what kind of chef would I be from Florida if I didn't know my way around fish? I mean, I fished my whole life, but like really no fish, So I went and I worked at, for free at a fish market and learned how to butcher fish. And then I went and got a job at a seafood restaurant, and then I wanted to learn how to cook meats perfectly. So I went and got a job at a steakhouse in a few towns over.
Here's an offshoot question for you. And I think people watching this later on may be able to pick up on, what you're putting down. Isn't it a really humbling experience to go and basically beg for a job, work for free so you can get an education?
Yeah, that's literally what it was. Yeah, it was. And that's probably the reason, because it comes off cocky, but like I'm really only good at one thing, and that's cooking, like running restaurants and cooking. Like it's something that I had a knack for naturally, but I also like dedicated literally 15 years of my life to, like 17 really, like completely 100% day in and day out. The only thing I thought about was food and making food. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm really, really good at. So part of that came from, because I couldn't afford to go to culinary school, I had this gigantic chip on my shoulder that I wasn't good enough. Like people were going to look down on me because I had a criminal record. I had no college education, so it was like, I've got all these things stacked against me. I was like, so the only way I'm going to be able to make myself a chef is to just eat shit for a lot of years and just flat out outwork everybody. That was my game plan.
I think a huge part of that, and I got an offshoot from that too, is what you told me last time about your upbringing. Your family won't let you quit. It's not in your DNA.
Yeah, it's just, exactly. And that's where that comes from. Yeah, that's where I guess that comes from. Yeah.
Yeah, and for you doing that, that's such an easy thing to do. But I like how you put up how you've been doing it for 17 years. But there's that old Oriental saying, when you're doing a craft, you've got to do something at least 1,000 times before you even start to scratch the surface of getting knowledge.
Yeah, 10,000 reps, and then you're okay at it.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, and I would, once I got, I say the last, especially the last 6-7 years that I was an executive chef, like once you start, you kind of turn that corner and you realize that, because I was really cocky. Like I got,
here's my shocked face. You were cocky. Okay.
Yeah, really? Well, like I said, I knew I was good at it, and I knew I was busting my ass. So I'm a very put up or shut up. Like I was always eager to show anybody who thought they knew what they were doing that I could do it better. I was on my P's and Q's about everything, cross all my T's, dot all my I's. So but then as time goes on, you realize that I would have cooks all the time, and they'd be it could be anything, could be cooking, whatever. And they'd be like, I don't know how you can do that well. And I'm like, how I make these scallops perfect? How? I'm like, because I've fucked up 1,000 of them. Like I've burned 1,000 of these things. I've completely destroyed thousands of dollars worth of fucking good food. And that's why I don't do it anymore. You know, it's not anything magic. You know what I mean? It's just being shitty at something a lot until you get better at it.
It's that old saying, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? You fucking practice.
Practice. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And that's what I would start to instill, you know, because I also did a lot of front of house training. You know, like I said, I wanted everything. Like I didn't want any section of that restaurant that I didn't know what was going on. I didn't like not knowing, you know? So I went and worked with the maitre d' at a French restaurant for like 6 months to learn everything from tableware and flatware and how to serve wine and you know, different, you know, perennials and all this stuff.
You've got that drive, and it's going to sound racist to someone, especially, you know, being in Washington State. I'm already in trouble for having a beard and everything else, but it's in that Italian freaking heritage, being first generation. If you're going to do something, you better do it right, or dad's belt's coming off his pants, you know?
Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, again, and in my situation with my family, it was, you know, I mean, I was out at 14, you know, I had my own apartment at 16, so I didn't have like a choice. And it was weird. You know, I don't understand how some of these people like the woe is me thing. Like I never even thought about it. Like never did it cross my mind. It was like, oh my God, I got to go to work. And like, oh my God, what do I got to do? Like you just did, you know what I mean? It's just
nature versus nurture.
Yeah. You just had to, I got to go to work. Like I don't understand. Like there was no, like, oh, I want to get paid. Like these guys are like, oh, I want to get paid more. Like in my head, I was like, I got to learn more so then I can get paid more. Like it was one before the other. Like, you know, it's very.
And that's something I think a lot of people overlook. They have this whole thing about, look, I just graduated high school. Where's my Ferrari? Where's my supermodel wife? Where's my, you know, my baller bling and everything? I'm like, you got to work for it. No one wants to work for anything anymore. And it's funny how it seems so natural when you're talking about it. You're like, work, repetition, work, study, work, repetition, study. And people don't want to do that anymore.
It's wild, man. And I dealt with it a lot, especially being up here in Georgia. In Florida, I was spoiled. Here, you want to hear something that's going to sound racist? This will sound super racist. We'll really get everybody pissed off. I was spoiled in Florida. In Florida, you've got everyone from every country in the world, from the islands to Central South America, you name it, right? So I had there's a massive Guatemalan and Mexican population in Florida. Well, and there's also everyone and their mother has a landscaping. There's restaurants and landscaping, right? Because it's sunny all the time. That's like what you do. You do one or the other. So I didn't realize how spoiled I was, because I'd go down there and you'd get like one decent like white guy that was actually like worth his salt, and then you have a kitchen full of guys from and women that are from Guatemala and Mexico, and they're, you know, they busted ass to get here, right? And they're all illegal, right? But they want to come here and do better. These guys would get off of shit, you know, they'd go work 5:30 in the morning till like 2 doing landscaping. Get off work, show up at the kitchen at 3:30, come in early, always be early, come in early, make themselves a sandwich or something, set up their station, and just start knocking out the prep list. You know what I mean? And then the end of the night, I didn't have to teach anybody how to fucking clean, because apparently in Central and South America, cleaning is like normal. So like you better fucking pull your guy. You better be wearing fucking high waters, because here comes the bucket of bleach at 9. If we close at 10, at 10:15, boy, here comes the bleach come flying down the goddamn. I got bleach the bottom. I got so many pants that are ruined from the bottom bleach from my amigos just throwing bleach water down that goddamn hallway. But that's what it was. So that's you gotta understand. That's the other thing too, is that's who I worked around. So when I was coming up as like a dishwasher, the guys I was competing with were all Mexican or Guatemalan. And I mean, these guys could literally work circles around me with like a pack of shingles on their back. So I had to like work extra hard. Like I got to outwork these guys. You know what I mean? And once, you know, that was like a thing at first, was like I saw how hard these guys worked, and like I realized, you understand, and this is like a guy thing, right? You understand as a man, like the only way you're going to get respect from somebody is by earning it, right? You got to work it, right? You got to show you're not a pussy. So I would go in there, and it was like any kitchen I was in, I was like, the goal number one is to get the amigos respect. Once those guys start asking me to come and eat lunch with them, then I know that I'm cool. That means I've earned my salt, right? Like these guys, because if I don't have these guys don't have my back, I'm nothing. Like when I would be a chef and I'd come into an existing operation, that was rule number one. Like I have to go in, bust ass in a dish pit, clean these guys, show these guys that I have to outwork everybody consistently for them to be like, oh, okay, this gringo knows what he's doing. Like, he's not a pussy like the rest of them. Because that's what they look, that's what a lot of them, rightly so, right? A lot of them look at Americans like that, like, oh, they're lazy, they don't want to work.
Yeah, but that also transfers into other stuff, like me going into a forge and learning how to, heat and beat metal and try to do stuff with blades and try to bring something different to my channel. I can't begin to tell you the sense of pride I had when the person I'm studying under hands me a pair of tongs and goes, "That's for your first project. Don't fuck it up." And it's like, are you fucking with me right now?
Yeah, exactly. It's heavy, like, because you respect that person and you know what they do.
But you see, and this is another reason why I wanted John, is I heard this statement recently with you being an executive chef, and you said how you're going around and helping people basically rebuild with, the coof and the Rona and everything else. I've heard this phrase, and I want to know your thoughts on it. If a restaurant during this time is closed for 10 consecutive days, it's probably not going to reopen.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people don't understand. I don't think what the biggest thing people don't think about is that 90% of a restaurant's inventory is perishable. So if you've got, let's say, like a fucking 50-seat diner at your local restaurant, like, they've got probably anywhere between like $8,000 and $13,000 worth of perishable inventory sitting on those shelves. So, and the margins in restaurants and independent, like full service restaurants, are so slim. Like, the best margins in the restaurant business are pizzerias. And most people are like, oh yeah, they make money hand over fist. They really don't. Their margins at best are usually around 14%.
I can see it because pizzerias, you have a very limited, I don't want to say limited, but you have a very set menu.
Yes.
Like your meat, your
their inventory, their inventory is still extremely high, but the amount of money, like their profit margin, is more so than most restaurants because their markup's higher. You know what I mean? So, like, some people are like, oh, like, they charge me $14 for, $12 for a medium pizza. I bet they only got like $2 or $3 on it. Well, yeah, $3 is, $3 on a $12 pizza. That's 25%.
Yeah. Right.
And then the other 75%, you have to figure out your rent and utilities and your labor costs. And then somewhere in there comes profit. So like I said, pizzerias have the best profit margin, and they're somewhere in the ballpark of like 14%. So, you do the math, 86% of what comes into that restaurant goes back out in inventory, in product purchasing, utilities, and labor. So imagine, a lot of people think like if you go to like a high-end steakhouse or like a higher-end restaurant, that those places have the smallest profit margins. They're operating somewhere between like 5%, 6% maybe. Right. So if you can imagine a restaurant that's operating on that slim of a margin, even let's say a pizzeria, let's say they're making 14% profit total at the end of the day. They could probably, if it's a decent pizzeria, they're going to have $15,000 worth of inventory. They're going to have, every time that truck shows up, they're probably dumping $3,000 or $4,000 worth of cheese.
Yeah.
Cheese. Like, there's a local pizzeria here in town. They order, let me think, for that whole pizzeria, they order $15,000 to $18,000 a week, 2 deliveries a week. They go between $15,000 and $18,000 in a pizzeria. So that's how much inventory they're turning on a weekly basis. So you can, at any given time, there's $15,000 worth of inventory constantly rotating. So you can imagine if a restaurant has to close for 10 days, all of that's now gone. So you're now taking a $15,000 loss, right? Then 10 days later, if you can get your employees back, if Uncle Joe ain't handing out paychecks, you then have to spend another 20 grand. Yeah, cheese is the number one expense. Exactly. Then you got spend another, let's say, $15,000 to $20,000 to then restock your kitchen and start re-prepping everything to go back out. Most restaurants that are, again, if you're operating on a 14% profit, most restaurants aren't good. That's a pizzeria. We're saying best case scenario, don't have $35,000 to lose like that. So that's why if you see restaurants close, they're probably not going to open again. And if they are, they're borrowing from Pete to pay Paul just because, like, they're hanging on, because restaurant owners are great at this. They hang on to the dream and they just delay the inevitable. They just run themselves, instead of closing on January 1st, they close on July 1st. They just run it out for 6 months,
Right.
stressing themselves out because they see the writing on the wall, but they don't want to admit it. Yeah, if you see restaurants, that's why the lockdown thing, when they did that, I was like, you're going to just, I've said it, I was saying it from day one. I'm like, you're going to absolutely destroy the restaurant industry.
Well, I have to agree with you, because I also saw this other statement, and they were asking people, it's like, well, what can you do? Because a lot of people now, you want to go out to eat, you want to have that experience again, but you cannot basically go to every single place in your little area.
Yeah.
And I like what somebody said. It's like, well, pick five and be, steadfast to them. Keep going there and building that rapport and building everything with them. I'm not talking like Norm walking into Cheers, but it's, you have that familiarity, and you're helping support small businesses, because we're not talking about, 2-3 star Michelin restaurants here. We're talking about, Jerome and whoever's pizzeria, just using that as a running example here.
Exactly. And again, it's just like the economy, the restaurant, they're just like an economy. Like, it's a rolling thing. Like, if that snowball stops going down the hill, you're not going to get it back up. Once that boulder starts moving, you got to keep rolling with it. You're not going to pull that back up the hill and re-roll it. It's just not going to happen. So if there's 2 restaurants in town that you really like to, and you frequent in those, I mean, that's true. If they're doing a good job, you know what I mean? If you like what they're doing, don't support shitty restaurants. Okay? Let shitty restaurants die where they deserve to be. Let them go to the graveyard where they deserve. But that's one of the reasons, and that and labor right now is a big issue. Well, hiring people to work.
I get that, because all you have to do is turn on the news. All right. Pick any station you want to. I'm not really CNN, but still any other station. Okay.
They'll tell you it's great.
Oh yeah. You keep seeing on CNN how the economy is perfect, how this is here, how this is there.
Inflation's a good thing.
Yeah. But the number one complaint
you'll get paid more
from businesses is, why would like Steve want to come back and work for me making Chicago style pizza for $10 an hour when he's making 25 to sit home and play Frogger on a TV, And yes, I went old school there, people. That's a game when I was smaller. Go look it up.
Frogger. They get him across the. Yeah, it's the truth. Yeah, and that's who always this was going to affect from the beginning was, and the restaurant industry is the entry level. There are people that make careers out of it, obviously like me, but it's an entry level. It runs off of entry level people coming out of high school, people in between jobs, people that don't want a regular 9 to 5. A lot of broken toys. That's what I always say. Restaurants are a land of broken toys.
Yes,
guys like me. So if you give those people, hell, whatever it was. And here in Georgia, it was like between the federal and the state, you could make a little over $900 a week. $900 a week tax free for doing nothing. I mean, you're looking at the better part of $45,000 a year. There's not too many people in the restaurant industry making $45,000 a year outside of the chef and maybe the sous chef at a restaurant that even has that. So it's what do you think people are going to do? Like,
to me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, I'm like, yep, COVID wait, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was like, what are you going to do? Like, you can't lure people back. And it was I don't know, it was a death blow from the beginning. The only people this entire thing is affected is the middle class, is working class people. And
with watching, like I said, First We Feast, when they had Gordon Ramsay on, I love one of the questions they asked him, because it reminded me of your response when last time you were on the show. The guy basically asked Gordon, he's like, well, what advice do you have for a young chef? And I love Gordon's response. He didn't even blink. He goes, grow thick skin. And then when you grow thick skin, get calluses, and then grow thicker skin on top of that. Because the thicker your skin is the higher you're going to rise.
Yeah, and even when you get to the top, even when you're an executive, so you go through, the whole process, right? Let's say you do stick it out long enough and you are good enough to run a restaurant, right? And run one well. Now, before you're getting shit on by the chef, now you're getting shit on by the public. So you have to remember that there's this thing called Yelp. There's this thing called Facebook. There's this thing called the Yellow Pages. There's all these things where people that don't even they don't even walk in your restaurant. They could just be like, oh, Steve Callari works there? Fuck that guy. And tell everybody how there's roaches in my kitchen. They can do whatever the fuck they want. So everyone's a critic. Everybody. So you have to, if you haven't developed that thick skin coming up, then you're just going to get shredded when a food blogger, right? Some purple haired fucking douchebag from Portland, Oregon, who's in Georgia wants to come by and tell me about, wants to eat my food and critique it for whatever. If you're not confident in what you're doing, like really confident in what you're doing and can't take a hit like that, then there's a reason we all drink. Like this is the reason daddy drinks, right? Like, because you're getting beat up by the public all the time.
I love how you said Portland, because the first thought that went in my head was, if you were really from Portland, you're going to know it's not purple, it's fuchsia. And if you're serving meat in your restaurant, you're already fucked, because they're all basically vegan down there.
Yeah, exactly.
No
you got these guys like that.
No lie, Portland, Oregon has a vegan strip club. No lie.
What?
No meat is served within the strip club. It's all vegan food and vegan friendly everything.
This is a chick stripping.
Yes.
There's enough men. Let me take this back. There's enough guys. There's enough humans that identify as male.
Keep backing that up.
There's enough humans with a Y chromosome that live there that are vegan, that there's literally a vegan strip club.
Yes.
If that's not a sign of the apocalypse, I don't know what is. I mean, you might as well. Everybody buy bullets.
Bro, no bullshit. It's a
the
vegan.
4 horsemen are coming. The 4 horsemen are coming.
In there? No, I just went to the other ones and got hot wings and other crap, because if I'm gonna look at chicks and have wings, I'm not going to a vegan strip club. But still,
I'm just trying to picture the type of Y chromosome human being that would simultaneously want to go to a strip club and eat soy burgers.
It's also the same kind when they make their order at Starbucks, takes them half an hour just to spit it out, and then we'll berate the barista because I was like, half fat, double calf this and triple that, but you only got it this, and I'm like,
I said no whip. Just throw it.
Exactly.
Supposed to be half calf. Just slam it at somebody.
There you go. There's a question from the audience. Did you ever get to know Anthony Bourdain?
No, I didn't know Anthony Bourdain. And what's crazy is I have a funny story about that. I was at work one day, and again, this is Anthony Bourdain was celebrated by most chefs because he was me. He wasn't like infinitely talented or in the greatest restaurants. He was just a guy that was good at what he did. He's like a real chef, like the guy that you don't know about. He's not the Gordon Ramsay, right? This is why Gordon Ramsay even tipped his hat to him, because Gordon Ramsay knows the industry thrives off guys like Gordon, like Anthony, guys like me, like the actual real guys that are making food every day, not the ones with the clipboards, not the country clubs. And again, Gordon Ramsay's a phenomenal chef in his own actuality, but he's not actually fucking a stove like guys like us are. You know what I mean? Guys like us work in his restaurants. So one day I'm at work, and again, we had just opened the last restaurant that I was at, Novella's, and I'm just balls deep in this restaurant, in prep, in everything. And so I'm working. I'm there at 7 a.m. I'm in the middle of doing dessert because I did all the pastry work, all the desserts. The bread they give at the tables for free. Yeah. I was making all that. That was a sourdough I made every day and hand rolled myself.
So the whole restaurant. Like actually, you would guys buy that, warm it up, kind of like a.
No, I had a starter. I had a starter that I started 6 months before the restaurant opened that I used to make a sourdough every single day.
Nice.
I baked them every day, so I'm balls deep in prep. And I get a phone. The phone rings, right? So I'm thinking it might be a reservation. So I pick it up, and it's a lady from the local newspaper. She's like, "Hi, is Chef Stephen Callari there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, speaking. Who's this?" "This is so and so from the newspaper." And I'm like, "But we had just opened, so I'm like, maybe they want to talk about the menu or whatever. It's like a local paper." And she's like, "Hey, I just wanted to get your thoughts on Chef Anthony Bourdain." And I'm like, it's a fucking most random fucking question in the whole fucking world. And it was weird because she said Chef Anthony, and I'm like, I thought most people didn't even know he was a chef. Most people knew him from like the Travel Channel. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm like, what do you think about him? And I'm like, well, and I said what I just said to you. I was like, the reason people guys like me love him is because he's one of us. He's actually one of us, he's like, what kind of legacy you think he'll leave on the world? And I'm like, I think he's and I went into that, what I think he'll leave up. And I'm like, okay, well, we appreciate your comment. It'll be in the paper yet. Okay, cool. And I hang up and I go back to work and I'm just doing my thing. An hour, maybe 2 hours later, my sous chef comes in and he's like, bro. I'm like, what? He's like, how fucking crazy is that? And I'm like, how crazy is what? He's like, that fucking Anthony Bourdain killed himself.
Yep.
See, I still get goosebumps right now over it.
Yeah.
And it made me smile because that's something he would have done. I was so balls deep and so into what was going on in the restaurant that I didn't eat because I didn't watch. I'm at the restaurant 18 hours a day. I was so into what was going on. I had no idea he had even died.
Right. And
I had just given an entire phone interview that was going to be in the local newspaper about someone I didn't even know. And then I'm like pissed off. I'm like, why the fuck didn't she tell me he was dead? And my sous chef's like, because the whole fucking world knows he's dead. You're the only dumbass who's knee deep in prep right now.
King Ginger.
You're the only idiot right now that's that's too busy making tiramisu and panna cottas to notice that Anthony Bourdain fucking died. And like I felt like shit for a second, but then I started to laugh and I'm like, you know what? If he knew who I was, he'd be laughing right now because if he was me when he was my age, he was doing the same shit. He was knee deep in prep and had no fucking clue what was going on in the outside world. And I remember the beginning of his book, whatchamacallit, Kitchen Confidential. In the beginning, he starts off talking about him getting in a cab and he has beef blood under his nails and he's thinking about what special he's going to run that night. And there's a Yankees game, so he's got to make sure for this. And I was just laughing. I was like, this is exactly what this is. Like I've got hazelnut liquor under my fingernails and I've got sugar up to the elbows because I'm busy doing this and didn't even know that the guy had passed.
We see, and that's one of the things I think is awesome amongst you chefs. Is I remember watching an episode of Emerald when he was the hottest thing on the Food Network. He had Julia Child on. Now, I mean, talk about the goddess of cooking. Okay,
Julia's a bad bitch.
Everything with her was and a little wine. Yeah. She's drunk by the end of her half-hour show
every time.
But I love how Emerald brings her on, and she basically pushes the hottest chef in the universe out of the fucking way and is like, "I'm taking over." And she started taking over his recipe and cooking it. Emerald's like, the queen.
There you go. Here's Julia Childs, ladies and gentlemen.
It was weird watching that. But when you also see people like, Gordon Ramsay, and I think using him as a good example, I think, God, how can I put this? Reality TV has helped chefs and fucked them massively at the same time.
Yep.
Because you have shows like Hell's Kitchen, God, the other stuff that Gordon does on Fox, like MasterChef. You will never ever make me believe that all these amateur chefs are sitting home and producing restaurant quality meals with mystery items that they have no idea what they're getting. That's just me. You're not going to get a housewife from, Nashville that's gonna, oh my God, I got a monkfish. All right, break it down properly, do everything, and bam, there you go.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's just like, it was just like when he does his MasterChef show. All of a sudden they bring, like what's it, 10 of the top chefs around the country
or whatever.
And they just, and these guys just, I mean, they all look like they've never even stood in the kitchen. Like they just fuck everything up. And you're like, so these are the top chefs in the country. Like these guys, this is who you put on the show. Like they're the guy who literally can't cook a fillet, like a piece of fish. He's just crumbling.
Risotto. They always screw that up. I remember that season when Gordon, when they all got there, he sent them yes, I'm dating myself here, guys, so fuck all of you, a VHS tape. They put it in, and it was how to make risotto. He's like, you need to study this. But I'm also watching that and watching this guy lose his cool. Just, you donkey, get the fuck out. And I'm like,
oh, come on. Oh, it's raw. He's such a ham.
But you see, that's the part that when you go to a restaurant, you never see that. But I know you've been in those experiences because you've even made comments before where you're like, yeah, I've had to duck frying pans being thrown at my head.
Oh, yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, you got a lot of guys. It's like, it's a necessary evil. You know what I mean? It's just like it's like nowadays where you have like the whole like toxic masculinity, right? They take situations that have nothing to do with being a man. They just happen to be men that are doing them, right? And then be like, oh, this is part of masculinity. And then they couple other things in. So it's like, okay, so it's like being a man is like being aggressive and being, you know, adversarial and being, you know, steadfast, all these good things. And they're like, oh, well, you know who else is aggressive? The guy who beats his wife. So that's the same thing. And they move it in there and you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's the same with the kitchen. So the kitchen's like hyper macho, right? It has to be that way. Like I tell people all the time, like people are really fucking particular about their food. Like really, they're spending their hard-earned money to eat. Okay. So they're really fucking particular. And especially if you're in like my neck of the woods where you're in like a fine dining setting, people are spending a lot of fucking money to be wined and dined. That's the whole point of being in a restaurant. So everything has to be fucking perfect. Like
it's that experience, you know.
Yes, a whole experience. The service, the ambiance. Yeah, it's a three-legged stool. You have service, ambiance, and food. They all have to be right, or else the fucking stool falls down. Point blank. Period. So they have a high expectation, as they should. So that kind of pressure, right, either creates diamonds or it creates dust. It is what it is, and that's why you, like you said, you get thick skin because it's a pressure cooker, but it has to be. Right? Like, is it cool that I've had chefs throw fucking, you know, pans full of fucking omelets at me and stuff? Like, kind of. Like, it made me who I was. You know what I mean? Like, I found out I was cut out for it. You know, I just ducked it, picked it up off the floor, swept up the fucking eggs, and went back to work. You know what I mean? And then learned from it. So people are like, oh, that's so fucked up. It's so barbaric. And so, yeah, but look at what comes out of it. Look at what comes out of it.
That's true because, like you were saying about the pressure creating diamonds or dust, when you see all these people rising and you look at someone like Joe Bastianich or whatever, you know, Master Chef, the bald Italian dude.
Bald Italian. Oh, talking about Masamoto?
But no, the Italian dude who's been on basically every season of Master Chef. And I love how
I don't remember his name.
Well, it's Joe something. I can't. It's Bastis something. I can't remember.
Something.
It's a long Italian name. All right, I'm German. I fuck it up all the time, but still, I'm Irish. But I love like the feedback he's giving on the shows where like he takes it, spits it out, and he's like, "I would fire you on the spot if you ever did that in my restaurant."
Because that's how it has to be.
Yeah, but it's like people, and it goes back to my original statement with you. You're putting in the work. You want to put in the work. But so many people want to take a shortcut, and you really can't do that with food.
You can't. You can't at all. Like it's like people are paying you for this. Like they're paying you for this. They're literally handing you money for you to do this. Like just is that not enough pressure so you don't fuck this up? Like people just don't get. You know what I mean? Like it's weird. Like on the one hand, it's like you got to remember this is like I tell people all the time. Like because some guys are like, I mean. Like you ask them to cut a piece of fish and they're like shaking and you're like, relax, bro. It's not going to kill you. It's just food. Like it doesn't fight back. It's already dead. Right. But on the same token, it's like what you do with that. Like you have to have enough, like no fucks given to go at it and not give a fuck about what people say. But
testicular fortitude, you know, using that.
Yeah, exactly. You got to, it's just, and the problem is like, I think people make a big deal out about it because they just can't cut it. Like I'm not a fucking carpenter. Right. So it's like if I went like if I went to go try to be a carpenter, I'm just not fucking cut out for it. I'm just not like roofing. I tried roofing. I did roofing for one summer. I did roofing. What?
Joe Bastianich, whatever. Yeah, there you
go. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. Like I tried roofing for one summer. I cannot fucking. I'm petrified of heights. I can't be a fucking roofer. I don't have the testicular fortitude to climb up a fucking 80-foot fucking ladder with shingles on my back. I feel like I'm gonna die. My nuts are in my throat. I'm not a roofer. Should I turn around and shit on all the roofers and be like, you guys do this wrong? You guys are a bunch of fucking arrogant assholes because you're laughing at me fucking grandmaing it up the ladder while you're jumping up, and sliding down it like it's a slip and slide. Like, no, that's just not your jam, you know? But that's and like, some people just have a hard time because everybody cooks at home. You know what I mean? Everybody cooks at home. So they want to be able to do it for a living because they have a passion for it.
Yeah, but okay, there's a huge fucking difference between you open up a thing of Kraft macaroni and cheese, adding a little bit of milk and the cheese powder, as opposed to you're in that kitchen, you're hand rolling the pasta out, you're getting everything just right. there's a big world of difference
in a time limit too. That's the thing is like I said, and you see some people, especially now with the Food Network, like you said, it did a lot of good for the culinary industry. There was up until COVID hit a kind of renaissance going on where people were getting more into where their food was coming from and getting into mom and pop shops, and it created a bunch of people who wanted to get into food, like throwing a lot of shit at the wall and some of it sticks. Like that's what happened. Like everybody launched themselves at the culinary world, wanted to open a restaurant, and then a lot of them fucking failed. But you got a couple, some good, as you will with anything, you get the good ones. But it also kind of fucked it because it kind of exposed all that, and everyone was like, they see the ins and outs and they realize how hard it really is. And then there's a difference. Like people go all the time to me, like when people ask me the same question they asked Gordon, what would you tell a young guy getting into the culinary industry? People ask me this all the time, and I'm like, do you love to cook?
I'll to you in a moment, so you stole the question.
Yeah, well, yeah. They're like, what would you say to someone who wants to get like, do you love to cook? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, don't cook then. Don't become a chef. Like, don't. Like what your passion for cooking and making these things is not what professional cooking's about. Professional cooking has nothing to fucking do with it's like if you love cars, right? Like you love building hot rods, it doesn't make you a fucking like Top Fuel drag racer. You know what I mean? Like driving a Top Fuel drag racer at 0 to 300 in fucking 2 seconds, that's a skill. That's ones and zeros. That's mechanical as fuck. That's not, painting flames on your hot rod. You both love fucking cars, but driving, like being a NASCAR driver, you may love you're like, man, I love taking road trips. I should go be a NASCAR driver. I love No. Whole different fucking world driving professionally around a fucking track at 200 miles an hour, literally going left the entire time, than going on a backcountry drive.
See, and I do like that. I did know on Iron Chef they did that because there's no way you're going to bring somebody in. He's got a support staff behind him that he's never worked with, and they're going today. Hey, guess what? Today you're cooking with whale dick. Have fun.
Well, so here's the thing. I've actually worked with a guy who was on Iron Chef. He worked with Mario Batali and Ann Burrell. His name's Mike Collier, Chef Mike. Guy taught me a lot. So yes and no. So it's two things. So the people that are behind him, the support staff, is their staff.
Oh, really? So, it's not provided by the show.
No, that is their staff. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So there was an original Iron Chef in Japan. That's what I grew up watching. Yeah, now, the original Chef in Japan, if you watch it, you can tell the difference. Now, in the original Iron Chef in Japan, they did not know the secret ingredient. And what would happen was once they showed it, they were given a 5-minute menu planning period. Because you got to remember, Iron Chef came from Japan. The Japanese are like anything they touch is to the nth degree, right? Well,
you're going to bring dishonor on yourself. You're going to dishonor your family. And I've been in the Orient, so yeah.
Exactly. So that's where Iron Chef came from. Iron Chef America, we're not that good. If you're a chef, it's a fact. Like if you're a chef, like in Japan, like you are everything you think a chef is in your brain is what they are. They are that fucking good. Like you're not going to be a 35-year-old chef like me. If you're 50 and you reach that title, maybe. Like it's that kind of a situation. So yes, those guys, they fucking, boom, and it's like moonfish. And then they walk there for 5 minutes and they start scratching out a menu. And those guys start clacking out dishes after dish after dish after dish.
Yeah, but you also gotta love the pageantry of the Japanese one.
Oh, yeah.
You have the announcer and the gongs, and he's like, hooah!
Hooah! Yeah.
And over here in America, you've got Alton Brown going, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now in the States, they get the secret ingredient 7 days before. So they have 7 days to plan the menu.
Okay.
So you have 7 days to plan the menu. Now here's the thing though. You also have to they're making 5 dishes in 1 hour. So people don't understand that. Like they have to make when Bobby Flay went to Japan and stood on his cutting. Yeah. That was a long time ago. You have 3 people, a chef and 2 sous chefs, making 5 dishes completely from scratch, bottom up. Every sauce, everything has to get, every protein has to get broken. Every 5 dishes in 1 hour from scratch like that is fucking nutty. Like you have to plan. I mean, your planning and execution has to be so spot on. Like you fuck, and you see it. You fuck anything up. You get something in a pressure cooker 1 minute too late. And you see them, they're spraying fucking water on it, trying to get the valve to pop and shit because they're freaking out because they're trying to make because you got a week, to plan this out. So everyone gets ambitious. Like you're gonna be as ambitious as you can because everybody knows you just had a week to come up with these dishes. So it's really fucking hard to do that, even though they know what it is. Like the level that they're not making like hamburgers. You know what I mean? They're making
They're
5
making
dishes.
exquisite Oriental themed whatever dishes. And yeah, I was always in awe by what they could do in that time. But wasn't Bobby Flay the guy who went on Survivor and fucked up rice?
I don't know. Did he go Survivor?
Cookbook entitled I Can Actually Cook Rice?
I don't know. He might have. I don't know. Bobby's a real chef. I mean, that guy can legitimately cook. I would not be surprised, though. That'd be hilarious if he went on Survivor and fucked up rice. Like, that'd be something I would do.
2 or 3 or 4. It was like in the earlier ones.
That's awesome.
He was a chef and he fucked up rice. And that's what got him voted out. And he basically repaired his image with a cookbook going, I can actually cook rice.
Like, that'd be something I would do. Everybody's like, all right, chef, make the rice. And I would just scorch the whole fucking thing. And they're like...
Yeah, okay. So let's touch on that a little bit just for a second, especially with Thanksgiving, 48 hours away.
Yep.
With you being a chef, do you ever get that point in the holidays where you're like, I ain't going nowhere. I don't want to cook for anybody. Fuck you. Or is it come to my house because I have a big lavish spread set out?
No, it's like, because again, cooking for families just different than cooking in the restaurant. Like, don't get me wrong. Like you don't necessarily feel like cooking all, but it's just, there's different. Like at the, in the restaurant, it's a job to do. Like when the holidays come and I get, friends are coming over, I get excited about it and I get happy. It's not like I have some elaborate spread or anything like that, but it's just that's what, that's how food's communal, like I said it before, food and music are what separate us from apes. So like I have a lot of fun with that, like I here in Georgia, I go to a friend of ours house every year for the last 5 years. And I always end up cooking over there. But it's just fun, you know what I mean? Because it's different. It's not, there's no pressure. The only person that have to worry about a dedeadline is grandma because she wants to eat by fucking 3 o'clock on the dot.
Right.
But it's very, there's a few things and it's easy to manage. And I'm usually just drinking a beer half the time and barely paying attention to anything and getting fat off, spinach dip or whatever somebody's got out, eating half the charcuterie board.
I got you. Oh, here we go. Michael's okay.
A different guy, Michael Sculpin. Well, good. He deserves to get kicked off for fucking up the rice.
I knew it was somebody who screwed up rice, and his cookbook was awesome. I Can Actually Cook Rice.
That's awesome.
For some reason, I had it in my head. It was Bobby Flay.
We could just say it's Bobby. Bobby deserves that. He's so goddamn cocky. Yeah, we should just Bobby burn the rice.
All right. So I know I've seen a couple movies recently, and it was funny. I saw one of these pop up on my YouTube suggested things right after I watched that Gordon Ramsay episode. Have you seen the Bradley Cooper movie Burnt?
Oh, God. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Okay. I found it funny, and I know this doesn't happen in real life where you have a chef who can't get it together to get a Michelin star, but his buddy's like, we need you. You have to pull your head together. You push us to be better. I'm like, how much that, if you've seen that movie, were you just screaming at your TV going, bullshit?
I mean, you were in the service, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, how many war movies do you watch? And you're like,
don't get me started. I'm not allowed to watch anyone in my
know what I mean? Yeah. Because you're just like pointing out, you're like, that doesn't work. Pistols don't have unlimited rounds. What are you doing? That doesn't. So kind of, you know what I mean? Like I try, I don't go out of my way to watch it.
Funny you say that because on Yellowstone, the season premiere, I was like, great gunfight, great. But I'm like, where's the mag dump? Where's the mag dump? Dump the fuck out.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. You see those things, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it was Burnt. And then there's a movie called Chef that came out that everybody, my girl made me go see. She's like, oh, you got to go see it.
I was actually going to pull those up in just a little bit, but
okay. Yeah. I saw, and it was actually funny. The owner of the last restaurant that I was at over here, Chris, he's a fucking, like, if I call you a drunk, that's saying something. Okay. Like, you really got to be like hammering it pretty hard. And he right when that movie came out, man, he was just like, he comes in one day, he's like, I just saw Bert. That's you. You're Cooper. That's you with the fucking throwing of the dishes. That's you. You're that guy. And I'm like, Chris, if you want to watch me throw plates, keep calling me that guy. I'll throw some plates now. Because it's Georgia, and where we're at here, his 2 restaurants, the cooks are very like nonchalant and look, they do their thing. It's just not for me. I don't like my kitchen dirty. I don't like fucking shit spilled everywhere. I come from French kitchens, right? Very much like you saw there. So it's like everything's. So he gets, he thinks I'm crazy because I want my kitchen clean. He's, and I have standards. Oh, but yeah, it wasn't. It did.
You have standards. Toxic masculinity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the whole shucking a million oysters was corny as fuck. I was like, no one's going to fuck. Like, if you've got that, like, I got them. I mean, it's a movie, so I was like, okay, I get what they're trying to say, and it did portray a lot of parts because a lot of guys have the substance abuse thing. I thought was important because a lot of guys do have like these drug issues and stuff like that that fucks up their career. I can name probably a dozen guys off the top of my head that are like that are like when they can keep it fucking between the lines for fucking the 3 months at a time. Dudes are like they just dust shit. They're just fucking You're like, wow. You're like, wow, where the fuck did that come from? And then they just fucking fall. The train comes off the fucking tracks, and then it's just, and they bounce from kitchen. That's what they do. They go on a bender, they get fired, they fucking go on a bender till they run out of money. Then they show up to a restaurant. I've seen it a million times. They show up and then they start, they'll cook for you, and you're like, the fuck is this guy? First couple times happened to me, I was like, oh my God, this is the guy. Look at this guy. He's a fucking stud. And then after it happens a couple times, when that guy walks in, you're like, so what is it? Is it meth? Is it blues? What is it? You know what I mean? Like they look at you like you're stupid. You're like, what are you talking about, bro? And I'm like, oh really? You can cook like this and you just don't have a job? That's it? Your last what was it? The owner didn't like you, or were you banging his wife, or what was it? You stole money, he bought you a car. What is it? Like I've heard them all at this point. So like that part of it was kind of that part of it I liked that they showed that part of it. But yeah, I kind of laughed. Like through the whole they thought the inspector came in and the black guy with the cayenne pepper on his hand. Yeah. That thing. I was like, that not in a million fucking years would that happen. Like that dude, you think the plate scene was bad. Like that guy would have fucking filleted his throat open if that actually happened in real life. That or Bradley Cooper literally would have walked out back and shot himself in the head. Like, because that happens. Like they don't talk about it, but the Michelin guy, dude, every year, half a dozen chefs killed themselves over that guy.
Seeing how I don't know when I'm on the outside. We're going to touch on that, then we're going to get to that question because I had that planned. How important are those Michelin stars? Seeing how I don't know, educate me here, chef.
It's life. Like you don't see it here as much in the States because it's only in big cities, New York, Chicago, LA, stuff like that. But the Michelin guy's been around for like 200 years. So, it started from the tire company. It's the tire company, Michelin.
That was my thought process. When I think Michelin, I don't think restaurants. I think the big fat, the
Michelin man, Ghostbusters, dude, the Doughboy, yeah. Yeah, how it started was, so Michelin, before there were cars, there were bicycles, and Michelin made bicycle tires. So what Michelin started doing was they started going around and they made a guidebook because bicycling became a thing. Cycling became a thing in France and in Italy and Germany. So what they did, everyone was just cycling the countryside. So they started making these books to show people where spots that were like friendly to cyclists, places that had good bed and breakfast, how good the food was. And that's how the Michelin guys started like in the 1800s. And then it slowly turned into this guide of where the best restaurants in France were, and then Italy, and then the whole world now at this point. They're everywhere. It's like there's what the hell's a docu? There's a couple of documentaries. Is it 3 stars on Netflix? It's an old one.
Okay.
Old, but I mean maybe 15 years old at this point. And they talk about it. It's like if you have 1 Michelin star, you're one of the best restaurants in your category in your country, period. If you have 2 Michelin stars, it's worth going out of it's a place you're going to go. People will go out of their way to go eat there.
Nice.
If you have now the 3rd star is like, that's going from, it's like exponential, you know what I mean? It's logarithm. It's like going from 1 to 2 is one thing, but going from 2 to 3 is a whole different world. If you have 3 Michelin stars, they say it's worth traveling to that country just to go to that restaurant.
Damn.
So stars make your career. So if you're the chef at a restaurant that gets a star, that never leaves you. That's it. I mean, that feather's in your cap for fucking life.
Okay.
You put, I'm chef at such and such, 1 Michelin star. I mean, your business opportunities go through the roof, right? Because you're at that level. Now, and it's just exponentially up there. If you are the only people that have 3 Michelin star restaurants in the world are regarded as the best chefs in the fucking world. Like anywhere they like, just business wise, reputation wise, people don't understand all the celebrities that you see in Hollywood and all that, and all the basketball players and football. They all know who these people are because they eat at these restaurants all over the world. So you rub elbows with all these celebrities. You're famous at that point. You rub elbows with all these people. They know who you are. You're the one doing their fucking kids' birthday parties and all that kind of stuff. So literally, probably at least half a dozen chefs will, if they get word that they are going to lose a star, you got to. A lot of them kill themselves. A lot of them end up taking their own lives because it's that to be thought, because it's such a big deal in Europe. To lose a star is like you just brought shame. Like to have a star is like I said, your business opportunities go. But if you lose one, it's just the other direction. It's like, oh, he fucking lost it. Like, you're like about to go out to pasture. You know what I mean? Like go behind the barn, and it's so then everything starts doing this. And that's why. It breaks a lot of guys, because again, that's their whole life.
Now, just on an offshoot, have you ever worked in a restaurant that has a Michelin star?
No, the closest I came, I worked for Cafe Boulud, Daniel Boulud's restaurant in West Palm Beach, and he's a Michelin star restaurant in France, but that restaurant doesn't have any stars because there are no Michelin guides in Florida. So in order to work at one, I'd have to work at a restaurant in like New York or Chicago or LA or. There's a lot of amazing restaurants that should have stars, like especially in the South, but there's just not a guide that's down here.
See, I was half expecting you to go. No, they saw me walking up to the front door, like, nope.
Yeah, like, whoa, bro. Well, they definitely wouldn't let me talk to the inspector or anybody.
Like, we're getting inspected today. Can someone drug Steve? Yeah,
I know. Yeah, well, that's a fucked up thing. You don't even know when those inspectors come. They're super inconspicuous, and they show up in parties, and like everybody thinks they know who they are, and they think they know what they're looking for. And a big thing now is actually the San Pellegrino's 50 best restaurants in the world. Okay. That's kind of taken over the Michelin Guide as like the new school, what are regarded as some of the best restaurants in the world. Like if you make the top 10 if you make the top 50, San Pellegrino's top 50, you're internationally known. If you're number 1, if you have the San Pellegrino's best restaurant in the world, it would be in my opinion equivalent to getting 3 Michelin stars.
Nice. All right, so we're going to switch on to something that I know you're very, very passionate about. And I've always been curious about this, so now I have a chef. We're going to talk about it. Kitchen cutlery.
Yes, cutlery.
I know that those knives are your babies. We're talking heirloom quality blades. But I know when you first start, like, hey, high school, I'm getting all this stuff done. You're not having $1,000 blade just to carve.
No.
So your first blades, are those like given to you when you graduate and then you start progressing up? Or how does that whole process work with you guys?
It depends. Like if you go to a culinary school, you like the program even that I was in, they have like a deal. It would be like $200 or something. You get like a set. Their Mercer's is the brand. Okay. It's basically like a Henkel's or
it's a good start.
Yeah, or even a Wusthof. It's all the same quality. It all comes from Solingen in Germany. They just have different stamps on the blade, and it's a whole set. You don't have like there's 25 different knives, and it comes with melon ballers and all this stuff. But I couldn't even afford that. Like I couldn't even afford that fucking thing. No bullshit. When I was in that training program, I couldn't even afford the coat and the pants. Like there was a guy in there named Johnny. Johnny was he was originally from Arkansas, and he's been cooking his whole life. Had a restaurant. He was just going there to get his serve safe. He's the first guy that I ate squirrel brain and eggs with. Was with Johnny. Johnny was like good old boy from Arkansas. He actually showed up one day and gave me 2 coats and 2 pairs of pants because I literally couldn't afford them. So my very first chef coat and pants were from him. But yeah, so knives just start off like
humility right there. Sorry, just a big lesson in humility.
Yeah, I was so grateful too. I was so stoked. You know what I mean? It was like I didn't have a coat, and I was I felt kind of shitty. I couldn't get one. But as far as knives go, it's kind of like a lot of kitchens have house knives. They call them house knives.
Okay.
They're usually by a brand like Cosini or even sometimes Victorinox. Even that style of knife where it's like a rubber handle stamp blade.
Right.
Most places will use those, and they have like a service that'll come by once a month and sharpen them. They're complete dog shit, but I mean they're made to be beat up.
That was another question I was going to have about sharpening, but you answered that part with house knives. So
That's what they do with the house knives. They come by, they have a belt, and they just fucking and they carve this like, Scandi hollow thing that's on them. Oh, it's so bad. It's so shitty. Like no, and you'll see it. Like you'll see like a boning knife and then like a fillet knife. And if you look at them, it's just a chef knife. And as they grind it down, it turns into a boning knife and then turns into a fillet knife and then it turns into a shiv. Literally, it's so bad. That's how I got into steel. So how I got into folders was because I was into steel, because I got into sharpening, because I had like, what was the first knife? I mean, like it was a Walmart. It was like a Walmart, one of those ones you see down the aisles. That was like the first knife I could buy. It was like $15 or whatever. Because I was so broke. And then I was so fucking like aggravated because it would just go dull. You know what I mean? And like having a dull knife in a kitchen is like such a no-no because you crush everything.
Yeah.
I'm getting hollered at, I'm getting screamed at by the chef because I'm like crushing the fucking parsley instead of mincing, and he's pissed off. So then finally, I think I might have been like 23, and I think I was like I was a tax return. I got some money for my tax return. That's what it was. Me and Charlie were so broke. It was 23, 24. We were so broke, and she was like, "No, babe, you deserve it. You need to go get yourself some knives." So I was like, and I went and I bought a set of Wusthoffs for like $400. It was like,
right.
earth shattering. Yeah. And then all of a sudden within like a week, it was dull. And I was so fucking aggravated. I was like, what did I just spend this money on? Like it's magically going to keep itself sharp, right? Like it's just perpetually just slamming it into a cutting board all day. It's just supposed to magically keep itself sharp. So that's how I got into sharpening. So I was like, okay, I got to figure out a way to sharpen this thing. Cause my chef were like, oh, you can never get it as sharp as when it comes from the factory. You got to be careful with the edges, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, bullshit. I'm like, if it got sharp once, it'll get sharp again. I'm like, what world do you live in? Like, physics say I can do it, okay? So that's how I started, and that went down. Like, I started getting some king whetstones and stuff like that, and then I started sharpening. And then once I could get a knife sharp consistently, then I was like, okay, now it's time. And then I started getting into, I got into steels, and I realized, okay, then I started looking at the difference between German and Japanese cutlery. The difference was, okay, well, this Japanese stuff, these guys, the steel's harder, so that means the edge lasts longer. And I'm like, That's what I want. That's what I want. So then I started looking into that. Well, the first ones you see are like the Shuns and Miabis and stuff like that. And like I used to go to like the mall, and like the Williams Sonoma and just stare at everything and be like, like just dream like, oh man, if I had that fucking, that's the knife,
We've all been there.
Like, oh, I want that one so bad, And then as time went on, I started learning about steel and sharpening and stuff like that. And then it just started with, I found a couple websites that sold some Japanese knives, and started with just like $50 Tojiro, just a cheap Japanese white steel knife, like ironclad. I mean, it literally will rust in between cuts, like the cladding on it will, because it's raw. It's literally raw iron. They'll clad it in iron. So the carbon steel won't rust, but you'll literally be cutting onions, and it'll just all of a sudden, like third cut in, third chop in, the onions are turning brown as you're going this way because rust is coming off. But that's how it just starts. Like, and be honest with you, most everyday chefs, like you see in most kitchens, I'd say 50% of them use house knives.
And see, me with knives, I was just getting ready to ask that. Preferred sharpening method. Are we talking like Japanese water stones? Are we talking Arkansas stones?
For my kitchen stuff, I use whetstones. I'm a big fan of Shapton glass stones. Those are probably my favorite.
Yeah.
The Shapton glass stones. Most cooks and chefs will use they like those because they're like splash and go, like legit splash and go. Yeah. And they're really thin because they're super hard. So you can, I would literally, like most guys would, they keep them in their knife roll. You keep them in the bag, and then you can just pop it out, throw it on a thing real quick, touch up your edge, put it back. Don't even have to worry about it. Just really, you don't have to soak it.
Are those a bitch to clean?
Not at all. I've had somebody asked me the other day. I have a rusty eraser. Just take a rusty eraser, go over it.
About. Yeah.
And I would keep like that's how the first diamond plate I actually got was I used it as a lapping stone. I got to use one to flatten it out to keep it from dishing. But yeah, you give it a little rub here and there, and they clean up real easy. But for my pocket knives, I use diamond.
Nice. I do want to get back to that question though. What was that one thing that you made that was absolutely perfect in the kitchen that you were very, very, very proud of?
One thing?
Yeah, because someone up here a little bit ago had said, what was that one item or whatever you had made for that very first time that you were very, very proud of?
The one thing that I was super proud of, I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to think. It was probably the one thing I made that I was super proud of. Probably my first menu. The first menu that I ever made was my most proud. It was like the first time I had. That was really when I felt like I was like, okay, I can do this. Was like when I had my first, it said Chef Steve Callari on the top of that menu, and it was everything that I designed everything, I wrote everything. It wasn't. I mean, when I look back on it, I kind of laugh at it, but I mean, it was all me. You know what I mean? It was my name was on it. It was all me. I was living and dying by it. That was probably the thing that I stood back and I was most proud of was my very first menu.
Okay, so there's the geek in me. Did you keep a copy of that somewhere and get it in a frame?
I don't know if I have it anymore. I think I have one from the last place, but I don't know if I have it. I might. I probably honestly it's probably saved on like a flash drive somewhere too, or something like that on a CD or something. I think I might, but I don't know where it is. It's probably in some box.
All right. So we're going to switch to one other topic, simply because I'm letting this run longer because we got you after all the technical difficulties.
Lost me.
But still, I know we talked about mental health last time, and I know in the kitchen industry, burnout is huge. It is just massive. Like we've talked about tonight, either you've got it or you don't, and the pressure that you guys are under. Now, I know from talking with other chefs, I know drugs and alcohol are very, very prevalent within the kitchen community. But if you put those aside for a second, what are some things that you guys do on the job just to blow off stress?
That's it. Drugs and alcohol.
I was going to say,
that's the. Huh?
I was saying the reason why I was prefacing it that way is I was hoping there was something else because.
Wait. Hold on. You froze.
Fuck.
Wait. Come back. Oh, he was there for a second. Wait for it. Wait for it. No. 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 God. Can you hear me? What happened? I mean, he's like froze like this.
Okay.
Oh, wait. You there? Yeah, we're back. Woo. There we go.
I just threw my head across the room. I'm like, you got it.
I thought it was mine again. I was like, what happened?
Jesus Christ. But like I was saying, I was hoping there might have been something different because, like I said, those rushes, and those are like your typical mom and pop restaurants with, the breakfast crowd, the lunch crowd, dinner crowd, and then you have that downtime. So,
I mean, the downtime. I mean, shit. When the downtime, you're prepping. You're like, fuck. I got to, you're prepping for the next service and whatever you got to get ready. It's not really guys. They'll run back and chain smoke a few cigarettes and, drink whatever they're going to drink. If it's night service, they're probably going to start, I don't know, doing key bumps in the fucking bathroom before service. That's the reason there's so much. Like I said, it's land of broken toys, right? So you got a bunch of people that are already kind of fucked up, and then you add, basically unlimited access to alcohol and drugs, and you put them in a high pressure situation. It's just a recipe for it's just like. You know what I mean? Like, Anthony took his own life. You know what I mean? And he was on top of the world. You know what I mean? But it's like those demons that that what makes you a good chef or a good cook is it's kind of like what makes you a good comedian. Like you got demons. You know what I mean? Like you got a dark place you can go to, and you got a lot of creativity at the same time, right? Like a lot of guys have a lot of stuff, and then the good guys, you can get it out on a plate and you can make it boom, and the stress of the service is like, it's fun. You know what I mean? It's exciting. It's exhilarating. Yeah. But now that I think about it, now that I say it, it's actually the service. That's the best part. It's get my wife a good bread knife. I didn't get it. Oh, no worries, man. Was that that Tajiro one? Yeah, a lot of people ask me. I apologize if I don't remember. A lot of people ask me for knife recommendations, so I try to steer them in the right way. But it's just a service. It's a service, yeah. That's because usually what it is you got most guys. They got so many demons going on at home and in their own head. you know, it's like meditation. When service is going on, the only thing you can think about is what you're doing right then and there.
Yeah.
So your head kind of goes clear. And then once everything stops, they all come back, and then, you know, then that's when the drinking and all that kind of happens. So yeah, I mean, the service is really the de-stressor for a lot of guys. You know what I mean? Like the reason a lot of guys, like a lot of chefs, you know, they're on their third wife, you know, and their home life falls apart because that's their, you know what I mean? Like that's all they got. You know what I mean? Like when they go home, then it's too much for them to deal with, and it's life, and you got problems in the kitchen. You're the guy, you know, you're a titan. You can control all this, you know? So that's that. It can't be one perpetual service though. You know, you gotta breathe sometimes.
Here we go. You got an answer. Got our, what, a 10-inch?
Oh, the Dexter. Well, Dexter makes a great bread knife. Oh, it's probably, yeah. Actually, Dexter is one of my favorite bread knives. They make an offset bread knife. That's awesome.
Sweet. All right, so we're going to kind of hit the wrap up. And just like before, don't go away. I need you in the green room, discuss a couple things. But I always throw this challenge out. And this week, it's going to be a little bit differently. All right. Thanksgiving's coming up. We got people traveling all around the country. You've got just dumb shit happening on the daily. I mean, seriously, I had to release a video that says, no, I am not censoring my own channel because YouTube is pulling comments.
Oh, they'll do it to me. Oh yeah. People will come on my comment section and start talking shit to me, like whatever, like talking shit. And I can't even respond because if I cuss, they'll rip it off, or their shit will get ripped and they'll think I'm taking it down.
Yeah, for me, because I've defended Black Rifle Coffee, because I like their stuff, I like their videos, it makes me giggle. I'm getting hate for some other videos that I've had, but I see it pop up on my iPad, and before I can even respond to it, YouTube's removed it.
Yep, they'll do that. It's not us.
Yeah, you've got that weird stuff going on. But guys, I really want you to do, it's kind of like a 2-part challenge. Take a moment every day and just have 5 minutes for yourself. I don't care what the hell you do. Just give yourself 5 minutes. If you want to smoke, you want to, I don't know, take a quick shot, you want to play a part of a video game, do something for yourself for 5 minutes. And on top of that, call 3 people this week. This is going to sound familiar to my guest because I said this last time he was here. Call 3 people. All right? You never know who needs to hear simple words like, how are you doing? How's it going? How are you? And then have the courage to listen. Can't call 3, call 2. Can't call 2, call 1. Now, Chef, just like last time, I'm going to turn it over to you. Do you want to add anything?
I like what you said about the take 5 minutes to yourself. I'm going to add to that. Take 5 minutes to yourself and do some push-ups. Do something physical. I've recently quit drinking. And trying to, you know, be better. So yeah, take 5 minutes to yourself every day or whenever it is, and do some push-ups. I bet you won't do them for 5 minutes. I promise that, but do some push-ups. Get some blood moving. You know, because I make fun of a lot of these sheepdog guys a lot. You know, they show videos of them at the range and all that, and I'm like, that's cool, man. You can drop a target from 200 yards with AR-15, but I bet you couldn't sprint 50 yards and then do it. You know, you don't want to be, God forbid, you know, because everybody keeps thinking shit's about to hit the fan. Like I said in a post, I was like, you don't want to have to, you know, run 50 yards and then, you know, try to draw on somebody and be, you know, huffing and puffing like Joe Biden staring at a 6-year-old. You know what I mean? You want to, so, you know, when you have 5 minutes, you know, maybe instead of drinking the beer, do some fucking push-ups. Do that every day for the next month and see how you feel. See if them titties don't stand up a little higher, if the old lady doesn't notice, you know.
Hey, I'm feeling attacked now. Leave me alone, all right? My training broad's fitting fine.
I got it too, man. I'm trying to get rid of them.
All right, guys, like I usually do, tomorrow's video is going to be a brand new item from CRKT's Forged by War series. It's from Austin McGlone, and I've got kind of a connection with that one because he started talking about it when he was a guest on my show. So when he finally released it, I was like, you motherfucker, that's what you were hiding? So that will be tomorrow's video. As far as next week's show, it's going to be something different. It really is. But still, guys, we're going to hit that outro like we usually do. Steve, man, thank you so much for joining me tonight, Chef. It was a great way to find out about an industry that I know dick about.
It's the only thing I know anything about. So
nice. All right, like I said, don't go anywhere. I'm going to hit that outro. Guys, we'll see you in our next video. Guys, thank you so much for the time you just gave me. I hope you enjoyed our guest tonight if we had one, and yes, I'm pre-recording this, or that you might have enjoyed an open mic night or whatever the heck just happened. We're going to try to do these every single Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and whatever you guys are in between and around the world. Next week, we should have another amazing guest or something really cool for you to watch. Thanks so much for watching all this stuff, guys, and we'll see you in our next one.